All right, let's look at our chapter P review. So we have identify natural number as prime and composite. So prime means that the only things that divide it are 1 and itself. So only factors are 1 and itself. That's what prime means. So composite is the opposite of that. Composite. More factors than just 1 in itself. So you would need to find out what are the factors. Okay. So 441, we would look and see what can divide 441. 441 divided by, it's not even. Let's see if it'll divide by 3. Yes, it's divisible by 3 and 147. So it says it is composite. And then to find your prime factorization, you look and see what can be multiplied to get that. Well, I know this. Now, are there any other factors of 147? It's not even, so let's see if it can divide by 3. Oh, it does. So 3 and 49. And then 49, I know that that's 7 and 7. So you make a factor tree. So that means my prime factorization is 3 times 3 times 77 times 7. We could also write it as 3 squared times 7 squared. So let's see what way they like to see it. 3 times 3 times 7 times 7. Okay, good. Okay, so you'll do the same thing on that. All right, simplify the fraction by reducing it by its lowest term. So you can do this using your calculator, or you can look for what divides each number evenly. So I know both of these are divisible by 5, so I'm going to divide by 5, top and bottom. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So that would be 7, 9. I know 7 and 9 don't have any common factors, so 7/9 would be where we stop there. You can do this in your calculator. You can do 35 divided by 45, enter. But I want it to be in a fraction, so I hit math. See this math button right here? Frac, enter, enter. So it's 7/9. What's really cool about these calculators also is you can write it as a fraction form. There's this, see the green F1, F2, this function menu. In order to get to it, you'd go to alpha, y equals. And so number 1 is your fraction, numerator divided by denominator. So if I want to do that, then I could put that in 35 over 45 as a fraction. Enter. The TI-83s do not do this, but the 84s do, as long as you have the updated operating system. Let's see, same thing there. To do fraction multiplication, so what you do is top times top over bottom times bottom whenever you multiply, okay? So this one would be 1 over 16 times 8 over 9. You can multiply top times top over bottom times bottom and then reduce. That would give us 8 over, let's see, 16 times 9, 144. Then you would have to reduce it. So I know both of these are evens, so I'm going to divide by 2. 4 over 144 divided by 2 is 72. Again, we have even, so divide by 2 again. 2 over 72 divided by 2 is 36. Oh, those are again evens, so divide by 2 is 1. 36 divided by 2 is 18, so you get 1/18. Okay, let me show you another way, and this is actually more efficient. Whenever you multiply, you can what's called cross cancel. You can look and see if these can cancel each other. I know that 8 will go into 16 evenly, so I'm going to divide by 8 in the beginning, and that gives me 1. Then I'm going to divide this by 8, and that gives me 2. So you're simplifying diagonal numbers. Just like you would simplify fractions up and down, you can look at diagonally to simplify. So now we have 1 over 2 times 1 over 9, which gives us 1 over 18, which look how much faster that is. So this is the more efficient way. See if you can cross cancel anything. Dividing fractions. There used to be a song that I did whenever I taught this. Flip the second and multiply. Dividing fractions, easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. That's what that is. So you can also look at it as keep, change, flip. So keep the first, change division to multiply, and flip. See how I flipped the fraction? And then you can look and see top times top over bottom times bottom. Cross cancel first if you can though. 5 and 15 have a common factor of 5. So this becomes 1 divided by 5. This becomes 3. So now it's 2 over 3 times 1 over 7, which gives us 2 over 21. Okay, let me see. Go to my next page. My next problem. Adding fractions, you have to have a common denominator, and this one already does. So whenever you divide fractions, you add your numerators only and keep the same denominator. This stays the same. So I would add 5 plus 5 to get 10. Then I would need to reduce it. So I know these are both evens. So it's 5 over 4. And then we could write it as a mixed number. Great thing, our calculator can do this for us. Or you can look back. 4 will go into 5 one time. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 more, 1/4. You can do it in the calculator too. Do that alpha y equals, and we want it to be 5 over 4. I don't know how to convert it. Maybe I can go to math. No, it's still frac. So I don't know if the calculator will convert to mixed, but you can keep it as 5 over 4 or put it as 1 1/4. So whenever you don't have a common denominator, you have to create a common denominator. So you look at your denominators and you see what is the greatest or the least common multiple. Least common multiple. So you look at all your multiples of 8. Multiples meaning count by 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, and so on, right? 12 would be 12, 24. Oh, there we go. That's our least common multiple. So I need to rewrite it as 24 on the denominator. So I look and see, what do I multiply 8 by to get 24? It's 3. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So times 3. So my new fraction, I'm going to come down here and write 9 over 24. Plus, I need to look here, what multiplies 12 to get 24? And it's 2. 2 over 24. And then remember with fractions, you keep the same. So this just becomes 24. And you actually add these. Then you look and see if you can reduce or change to a mixed number, and you can't on that one. Same thing with subtraction. You subtract your numerators and keep your same denominators. So you've got to get your LCM. So you count by 3s. 3 is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So far, none of those are divisible by 7 except for 21. So 21 might be our LCM. So 7, 14, 21. So that is my least common multiple. Greatest common denominator. Or least common denominator. There we go. All right, so times 7, because you got to get that 21. So it's 49 over 21. And then times 3 minus 9 over 21. So now we subtract these, and I get 40 over 21. They don't have a common denominator or common divisor, so it's going to stay like that. But we can see how many times will 21 go into 40. It'll go one time. How much more to get to 40? Let's see. 40 minus 21. 19. So it'd be 19 left over. Keep your same denominator. All right, graph 5/3 on a number line. So 5/3, what I would do is convert it to a mixed number. So how many times will 3 go into 5? One time. With how many remaining? 2/3. So this is cut into thirds. See, 1, 2, 3. So it's 1 and 2/3. So go over to 1, drag it over. And then I need 2/3. So this would be 1/3. So then that's 2/3. Negative, so make sure you go on the negative side. Change it to a mixed number, and then you can do it. As a decimal, whenever you do a decimal, you can divide it, and that's your decimal. Use your calculator. Same thing with this. You're just looking for what's repeating. So on 3/22, 1, 3, 6, 36, 36. So only the 3/6 is repeating. So this would be the one. The line on the top means that number repeats. Okay. With inequalities. So this is question 14. So this means less than. And I always remember if you can make an L out of it with my left hand, that's a less than. The other way is greater than. I know back in elementary school, they used to say the inequality will eat the bigger number. So negative 22 and negative 1, this one's the smaller one. No, it's not. Sorry, it's the larger. Sorry. So then this is smaller than that. So this one compared to that one is smaller. So negative 22 is less than negative 1. So this is smaller than the negative 1. So we use the less than symbol. Absolute value. Absolute value represents distance. So anytime you take an absolute value, you just write it as the positive of that number. So it'd just be 3/5. Absolute value, you're taking the square root of something. So absolute value of negative square root of 7. You would just change it to its positive square root of 7. Find the sum without using number line. Adding signs of adding with different signs, you add or subtract depending on if you have the same or different. These are different signs, so you're going to subtract them and keep the sign of the larger. Those are order of operations. Make sure you do it from left to right. Anytime you have a double negative, this is just the same as in English class. You can't say I don't never do that. That doesn't work. So anytime you have a double negative, you keep, change, change. So keep, change, change. Anytime there's a minus and negative, they both become positive. -5 plus 6. These are different signs, so I'm going to subtract them and keep the sign of the larger. So it's going to be a +1. you can think of this as negative 9 plus a negative 15. This means the same as this, okay? Different signs, you're going to, no, these are the same. You're going to add and keep your common sign. Keep on, anytime you have a double negative, make it both plus, rewrite it. And with any of these, you can use your calculator. So on this, you'll have to do this first. 2 minus 3/4 minus a negative 7/8. So it's going to change that. So you got to do this first. Well, we have to have a common denominator. Common denominator will be 4. Right now it's a 1. So we do times 4 times 4. So it's 8 over 4 minus 3 over 4. Subtract those. 8 minus 3 is 5. So 5/4 plus 7/8. You got to get a common denominator. 8 will be our common denominator because 4 times 2 gives us 8. Whatever you do on bottom, you have to do on top. So it's 10 over 8 plus 7 over 8. Add them, you get 17 over 8 because you keep that same. So it's 17 over 8. And you can change it. There's no way to reduce that, but it would be 1. No, it'd actually be 2. Because 8 will go into 17 2 times because 2 times 8 is 16. So then we have 1 remaining. Multiplying fractions, if you multiply, same sign gives you positive. Multiply or divide. Same sign always gives the output of positive. Different signs gives you the output of a negative. So these are different signs. So 2 times 6 is 12. But since they're different signs, it's negative 12. Let's see the next one, number 26. Negative 3 over 5, and that's a multiply, so times a negative 25. That would be 25 over 1. You can multiply straight across and then reduce, or you can look and see, can I cross cancel? I know 25 and 5 have 5 in common, so I'm going to divide by 5. That gives me 1. I'm going to divide by 5. This, I got to keep that sign, so that is a negative 5. Then I do top times top over bottom times bottom. So negative 3 times a negative 5. Negative times negative gives us a positive because they're the same sign. Anything over 1 is just that number. Multiplying decimals. So these are different signs. So what we would do is we would multiply those, and they are the same sign, so it's going to be positive. And I do 6 times 8. And so that's 48, and then I count my decimal places. Okay, so whenever you multiply 6 times 8, you get 48. But you count how many decimal places that is. So there's 2 decimal places, so I'm going to go 2 decimal places. Negative times negative gives me a positive. So you can double check yourself. Negative 0.8 times negative 0.6. 0.48. But that's the way to do it by hand. Okay, multiplicative inverse. To do, so that was 27. 28 multiplicative inverse is the number, it's the reciprocal. So reciprocal is whenever you flip it. So flip your numerator and denominator, 9 over 1. And what happens with multiplicative inverse is it's what do you multiply by to get a positive 1? I don't know why that will not focus. So it would be 9 over 1. Oh, I guess it has to be negative, sorry. Negative 9 over 1. You flip it. Oh, maybe they don't need the over 1. 9. It's just 9. So that would be 9. Okay, let me get back to it. All right. So it's just the number. I guess you don't have to do over 1. Multiplicative inverse of negative 13. So you would put that over 1 and then flip it. So it'd be negative 1 over 13. Same thing. It'd be negative 3 over 4. Perform the indicated division or state the expression is undefined. So number 31, negative 48 over 2 over negative 2. So you do negative 48 divided by negative 2, which gives us, what's half of 48 is 24. They're the same signs, so it equals 24. The only time it's undefined is if you divide by 0. You cannot divide by 0. You can do 0 divided by a negative 10. That's going to give you 0. So topless is okay, but bottomless is not okay. So let's say it's 5 over 0. This is undefined. You cannot do that. It's not okay. Dividing fractions, keep, change, flip. So we just did that one earlier. Exponential means how many times will you multiply it times itself. So negative 8 squared means negative 8 times a negative 8. Negative times negative gives you positive. 8 times 8 is a 64. On this one, though, see how the last one had parentheses around the negative 8, but this one doesn't? So the only thing being squared is the 10. So you have a negative out front and then 10 times 10. But when parentheses is around it and then it's squared, it's negative 8 times negative 8. Here, you just do 10 times 10, gives you 100, but we still have that negative out front. So the next problem is, order of operations is PEMDAS. I'm sure you remember this. So parentheses, exponent, multiply and divide from left to right, add and subtract from left to right. So 10 squared minus 8 divided by, 2 squared times 2 minus 7. So you got to follow order of operations. Our calculators will do that for us. If you have one of these, because these are meant to follow order of operations. If you just put it in your phone and just put it straight like it is, it's not going to. So order of operations says parentheses, we don't have any exponents. 10 squared means 10 times 10, 100. So I'm going to rewrite it. And I can go ahead and do this one too. 4. Then multiply and divide from left to right. So that means I need to do this one first. So I'm going to carry down the 100. Minus 8 divided by 4 is 2. So times 2 minus 7. Multiply and divide still from left to right. That would be 4. So it's 100 minus 4 minus 7. Then add and subtract from left to right. 100 minus 4 is 96. Minus 7 is 89. Let's check my work. And you could put it in your calculator too, but you do need to know order of operations. Same thing, parentheses first, so you'd have to do the 1 minus 3 and then cube it. Cube means it times itself 3 times. Order of operations with fractions, you do order of operations on the top expression and then on the bottom expression and then simplify, because this is kind of like parentheses if it's just on the top by itself. Algebraic expression, whenever you substitute in, that's what this is. Negative x squared minus 6x, where x is negative 2. So that means I'm going to plug in negative 2. So I still have this negative, but anytime I plug it in, I'm going to put it in parentheses. So I plugged this in, I kept it in parentheses. Plugged it in, put it in parentheses. So order of operations says parentheses. Well, there's nothing to do inside the parentheses, so it's exponents. Negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, and that is a 4. So this is a 4. But I've got to carry down that negative. And then I'm going to carry down the minus. 6 times negative 2. Carry everything back down. All right, add, subtract from left to right. Oh, no, multiply. I got to do this first. Negative 4. Well, I can do a negative 6 times a negative 2. That's a positive 12. So since that's a positive, I'm going to put plus. Now add and subtract. These are different signs, so I'm going to subtract them. Keep the sign of the larger. So 12 minus 4 is 8. The larger is positive, so it's positive 8. Same with this. Let's go ahead and do this one, though. So it is 7y minus 2y squared over y squared minus 10, where y is 5. So 7 times 5 minus 2, parentheses, 5 squared, over 5 squared minus 10. So you simplify top and bottom separately before you reduce anything. So this says exponents first, so I need to do this. 5 squared is 25. So it's 7 times 5 minus 2 times 25. Multiply and divide from left to right. So I need to go ahead and do this. So that's 35 minus this. Well, I can go ahead and do this because that's also multiplying. So it's 35 minus 50. They are different signs, so I'm going to subtract them and keep the sign larger. So that's negative 15 over order of operations here, exponent, so it's 25 minus 10, which is 15. So negative 15 divided by negative 15 is 1. They're different signs, so it's a negative 1. That is it for our notes for chapter P.